please help me welcome Jennifer and Anaya. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to have a little fun here. Hopefully my goal is to give you some interesting tips, share some things I've personally learned along the way, which is why the title is the way it is. And I want to just start off and say I love the fact that Toastmasters is about a safe and encouraging environment, because it isn't always safe, and it definitely isn't encouraging to do public speaking. I don't care who you're speaking to, right? Safe and encouraging wouldn't be the two words that I would use for that. In fact, it usually is the number one fear that most people have is public speaking. I'm sure you all have heard that along the way. So want to be able to share with you some things that I've learned to get over some of those kind of butterflies and feel comfortable. Maybe comfortable could be a word that we could use instead of maybe safe and encouraging, but comfortable in speaking in front of people and really sharing your point and getting your point across in a more effective way. So there's three things, and three things because there's something to be said, I don't know, in the design world about odd numbers. I don't know if any of you are closet interior designers or if you really like it, but odd numbers are always what they encourage. So 3 and 5, in particular with speaking, are really key because people remember those. They remember 3 things or they'll remember 5 things. If you go into 7, 8, 10, 12, it's too much, right? But 3 and 5 are good. So just an interesting tip that I learned actually from Dennis Krupe, who's our Director of Creative Services, and he shared that point and I thought it was really valid. So I wanted to be able to share that with you. In my life, I've never had an option to be afraid of speaking because I grew up with 2 entrepreneurial parents and a dad who was in sales. And when you're in sales, you speak to everybody. Anybody who's willing to listen to you, you actually speak to. And so my father made sure that I took Dale Carnegie classes and learned all kinds of things. So speaking has always been something that I sort of didn't have an option to be afraid of, which is good. And I also had the advantage, I would say, of learning a lot about speaking and how to communicate with people. So part of what I'm going to share today also is just some good communication techniques that necessarily work whether you're speaking or writing or in other forms of communication. So think about that too as we're talking. The first thing I want to show you is a little trick that I learned from a gentleman by the name of Dave Heumann. And it starts with our number one thing of my 3 things. So the number one thing is partner with really great people, because they'll help you look and sound really good. So that's the number one thing. Dave Heumann is one of the authors of the book that I'm going to raffle off today. And Dave, whenever he does his presentation training, he's a professional public relations person by trade. He has his own company called ElevatorSpeech.com. And they've come in and done training on presentations here at Ingram Micro with our DM program and with some of our executives. In fact, any of you who have heard about it or happen to have heard Keith Bradley's 18 inches of dirt speech that he gave several years ago that people still talk about, Dave actually helped him really hone that speech down and make it his own. And so Dave always learns a trick or gives you a couple of tricks. So if you push B on PowerPoint, when you're in presentation mode, the screen turns black. And you just push B again, and it comes back. If you want it to go white instead, you push W, and it goes. And what works for that is, I was going to show you this first slide of an illustrated point that I want to make, but I don't want you to stare at the spider behind me, which is frightening to look at. So if I make it black, then you're going to pay attention to me more, so I can set up the slide and what the point of it is, and then I can go back to it and show the slide. So did anybody know that? Or
No way.
Isn't that cool?
That is
Yeah. I thought that was a cool little trick to be able to share. So, speaking of partnering with great people, our number one thing on my 3 things. And when I went to do a presentation this year at the kickoff, the executive kickoff, I am not a joke teller. I am not funny. I really do not think I am funny, and I don't try to be funny because I never remember the jokes. That's my number one thing. So I wanted to figure out a way, an effective way to set up the presentation that I was making and kind of break the ice, but do it in a way I was more comfortable with. So I partnered with our creative director, who is Ewan Pigeon, and he came up with this cool idea that I was going to run through with you guys just to show you how when you partner with the right people, you can come up with some cool things. So Ewan said that the point of my presentation at the kickoff was we are a team as marketing, and our role at this company is introduce great ideas and help us communicate great ideas. So it was all about great ideas and kind of setting up that tone and topic. So he said, well, I think you could do that by kind of having some fun with what people have a fear of. So if you run through the slides in the beginning of my presentation, and I was after lunch, very bad. Yeah. So I needed something fun and kind of, shocking to be able to get people. So he said, all right, so he has this big spider. He's like, okay, arachnophobia is the fear of spiders. Alumophobia is the fear of garlic, and I can't remember what there. So cyberphobia is the fear of computers. Myrmecophobia, they even gave me pronunciations. I was better at it when I practiced it before. Is the fear of ants. Pteronophobia is the fear of being tickled by feathers. I knew that existed. Pentherophobia is the fear of your mother-in-law. Agoraphobia is the fear of cooking. Philemophobia is the fear of kissing. Who knew? Philemophobia. Okay, there's another one. Electorophobia is the fear of chickens. It does exist. All right. Next one, vestophobia is the fear of clothing. Dipsophobia is the fear of drinking. Knowing here at Ingram, I don't know those of you who connect with our partners and our customers, yeah, we have no issue with that. And then the last one was centophobia, which kind of set up my presentation, and that was the fear of new ideas. And so just kind of talking a little bit about how, change. New ideas usually signal a change. Change people do not like change, and so it just made it a fun way to be able to enter into that presentation. So it's just a little technique that I wanted to share. The other thing in this book that Dave talks a lot about is storytelling. And the point I wanted to make goes to number 2 of the things I've learned the most, and that's know your audience. So I think, and this is true of any communication technique, whether you're writing, speaking, relaying something in any way, is really understand who you're speaking to and understand what they care about most. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the, they call it the radio station, but what's in it for me, right? WIIFM, what's in it for me? Always think about that. When you're speaking to someone or you're communicating, think about for a moment, if I were in their shoes or if I was listening to them, what would I want to get out of that? What do they need to get out of whatever it is I'm communicating? And that's an important point. And one thing that Dave talks about is grab them first, right out of the gate, with a story, a really good story. And make it something that you're really comfortable in speaking about. So there's another video that I wanted to share with you that really brings this point home, because I think in not only knowing your audience, being comfortable with whatever it is that you're relaying is super important. And usually that involves somehow, some way being personally attached to it. You either experienced the story, you were somehow part of the story, you helped create the story, whatever it is, but part of my role here at Ingram over the years and in my career has been helping executives get prepared to speak and to speak. And I can tell you that it's really hard to tell a story that you don't know the background and the context of. So context would be the key word there. Context in terms of the story related to, is that something my audience would really want to know about, right? Number one. And context to, can I really tell it and get the point across in an emotionally grabbing kind of a way? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Lori, I'm going to ask you, do I come out of here and then, oh shoot. Awesome. Oh, and we're not sure if this will work, so I might have to talk you through.
It might. It should. I'm hoping it will. It took a minute or two. I was hoping it would still be right where we left it.
So is anyone familiar with TED Talks? Yeah, they're awesome. This is a short one. This is a 5-minute. And if we can't get it, I can just tell you about it, and you got to go and see it. Because the way this is, here goes. I have to tell you.
Imagine, if you will, a gift. I'd like for you to picture it in your mind. It's not about the size of a golf ball. So envision what it looks like all wrapped up. But before I show you what's inside, I will tell you it's going to do incredible things for you. It will bring all of your family together. You will feel loved and appreciated like never before, and reconnect with friends and acquaintances you haven't heard from in years. Adoration and admiration will overwhelm you. It will recalibrate what's most important in your life. It will redefine your sense of spirituality and faith. You'll have a new understanding and trust in your body. You'll have unsurpassed vitality and energy. You'll expand your vocabulary, meet new people, and you'll have a healthier lifestyle. And get this, you'll have an 8-week vacation of doing absolutely nothing. You'll eat countless gourmet meals. Flowers will arrive by the truckload. People will say to you, "You look great. Have you had any work done?" And you'll have a lifetime supply of good drugs. You'll be challenged, inspired, motivated, and humbled. Your life will have new meaning. Peace, health, serenity, happiness. Nirvana. The price? $55,000. And that's an incredible deal. By now, I know you're dying to know what it is and where you can get one. Does Amazon carry it? Does it have the Apple logo on it? Is there a waiting list? Not likely. This gift came to me about 5 months ago and looked more like this when it was all wrapped up. Not quite so pretty. And this. And then this. It was a rare gem, a brain tumor, hemangioblastoma, the gift that keeps on giving. And while I'm okay now, I wouldn't wish this gift for you. I'm not sure you'd want it, but I wouldn't change my experience. It profoundly altered my life in ways I didn't expect, in all the ways I just shared with you. So the next time you're faced with something that's unexpected, unwanted, and uncertain, consider that it just may be a gift. Namaste.
Wow. But it really sort of, illustrates that point that, she just grabbed, the way she pulled you into that story and everything, you're like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I want one of those. Yeah. And then like, boom, what the real thing was, right? Very, very effective storytelling technique. And we could go on for hours about storytelling and how to do it. And there's some great books out there about it as well. But just wanted to share that with you because when I saw that TED Talk, it just hit me on so many levels, with so many emotions, right, about the topic and the way she presented it and her attitude and just all of those things. But it also hit me from a presentation standpoint and how effective storytelling can be to really pull somebody into a point you're really trying to make. And do it in a way that if she would have started out saying, I had a brain tumor, everybody would be like, oh, and then you miss all the other stuff, right? So just, it was a very effective way of storytelling. And again, knowing your audience worked great with the TED Talk, audience, but how you can use stories to really illustrate. The third thing that I wanted to share with you is something I've learned along the way, is stick with what you know. So whenever you try to talk about something that you don't know about very well or that you're not personally related to, it doesn't normally end up very good. And even sometimes, but that will illustrate in this next video here for a moment, when you talk about something you know a lot about, you could be scripted in such a way and held down in such a way that it doesn't come across very effective. And it's something that, as both a coach and an experienced executive communications person, and as a communications person myself and doing my own presentations, you really have to be responsible for how and what you present. And I think that unless you communicate that, the people who might be those great people, the number one partner with great people, they might not totally understand what you're comfortable with. So if we go back to be comfortable, right? Sometimes you're going to have to push back, and somebody might say, okay, here's what we want you to do. We want you to present this. We want you to talk all about this. We want you to do it in this manner. And you might have to say, you know what? I'm actually more comfortable if we presented this and we did it this way, right? Because these are the things I know about. And it's okay to do that. And you, as a speaker in any environment with anything, are completely warranted to do that. In fact, I would even maybe go as far as to say it's your responsibility to do that. And not put yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable and you're not clear exactly on what you're going to get up and speak about. So, a quick story before we go into Michael Bay. I'm sure many of you have seen this clip because it was recently at CES and it went pretty viral. So, bear with us if you've seen it. But a quick story, there is an executive here at Ingram Micro who I will not name, he's not here anymore, but I still won't name him, but he was in a situation where he was asked to speak at one of our community events. And he was in a new job, so he was fairly uncomfortable and just new to just learning what it is that he was doing. And he also didn't exactly know the audience whom he was speaking to. So he was new and kind of learning about them and who they are. But what he wasn't new at, he was super experienced with dealing with customers. I mean, years of experience in working with customers. And customers at Ingram have different issues, but they're kind of all cut from a similar cloth. You know, they always like, what's in it for me? How am I going to make money? You know, like, what are you going to do to help me next? Like, those are pretty much the things that customers always ask about. And when he just couldn't get past the fact that he had to speak in a certain way to these customers about something that was new to him. And we really tried to encourage him, no, you've been in sales forever. Talk about what you know. Relay the experiences you've had with customers and how you're going to bring that experience into this new customer. Couldn't go there. Had such a hard time, and he had a similar situation to what you're going to see here with Michael Bay. And again, it goes back to be responsible and know that you have to call the shots on what you're comfortable in speaking with. And a great, training ground and just testing ground, I should say, is Toastmasters. It's safe, it's encouraging, and I know you guys have table topics. And don't feel like that used to always freak me out when I was in Toastmasters because I'm not a good stand up and just talk about something person. And be funny and clever and all those things everybody wants you to be, right? So just know that you have the right to kind of pick the things that you're comfortable with. So, Laura, you want to hit Michael Bay and let's.
You have to turn the volume down, unless you guys want to see the.
Oh,
commercial.
yeah. There's a little commercial.
Maybe.
That runs before it.
We couldn't run. We can't run off of YouTube on wireless. We're good. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, director and producer Michael Bay.
How is everyone today? My job as a director is I get to dream for a living.
Michael, you're known for such unbelievable action. What inspires you? How do you come up with these unbelievable ideas?
I create visual worlds that are so beyond everyone's normal life experiences. And Hollywood is a place that creates a viewer escape. And what I try to do is, as a director, I try to... the type is all off, sorry, but I'll just wing this.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, we'll wing it right now. I try to take people on an emotional ride. And
the curve? How do you think it's going to impact how viewers experience your movies?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Michael Bay for joining us.
Wow.
So, okay, here is a director who's done amazing movies. He's obviously a very smart man. He could talk probably for days and weeks.
Dance Fever with The Verge, and
that's okay.
There we go.
About his experience and experiences and all kinds of things, right? But he was so scripted, and he was uncomfortable because he felt like, I got to follow this script. They've written the script, and I got to follow, and it's all messed up, and I don't know where to go. And the guy said, well, just tell us what you think, right? Like, he was kind of trying to help him out. He's like, I mean, he was completely lost by that whole thing. And I don't know, because I personally wasn't involved in that, I could guess, is that he didn't say, no, wait, stuff out. Sorry, Samsung folks, I'm not going to do it this way. We got to do it this way, right? This is what I'm comfortable with. But they probably had all this stuff they wanted him to say about the screen, would be my guess, and he didn't know about it, right? So it kind of put him in a situation where he was uncomfortable. So those are the 3 things I've learned along the way. I hope that has kind of helped you guys think about speaking. I learn every day, in every experience. And in fact, earlier in Buffalo, I had my own fun where I wasn't prepared enough. And we had some videos that we were running, and we didn't test them out beforehand, and they didn't run. So I had to sort of tap dance through what the video said. If you were to watch the video, it would have said this kind of thing. When we could have just spent a little more time ahead of time in testing it out, making sure everything was good, and having a backup plan if that didn't work. So I learned something new every time I get up and speak. So thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer? Feel free to ask. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
She pointed at me.
Okay. Angela? She was one of the ones who just
Sorry, I was going to ask Jen, hi. I was going to ask, does it matter, like, the size of the audience? So once you're comfortable, or does the size, like, get more intimidating? Once you finally get over the hurdle of...
Honestly, I mean, I don't want to say size doesn't matter. It does, because you get scared. More, if you can't see people. I think, to me, the most intimidating thing to speak on is webinars. I cannot stand them. Because you're talking and you're doing your thing, and you have no idea if people are listening, if it's resonating, because you can't see any reaction. And the same thing would go, when we do our large events, or I've spoken at a large audience, and you can't see the audience, it drives me insane. Because at least I can kind of connect. The other thing I think is scary is, honestly, it depends on who you're speaking to, right? It's intimidating to go walk in a room of Alon, Paul Reed, Lynn Jolliffe, and present. It could just be the 3 of them, small audience. But you could kind of psych yourself out in terms of, not thinking you're fully prepared when you really are. So I think it has a lot to do with what's up in your head, and not necessarily the content or context of the situation. Thank you.
How do you deal with that situation?
Which situation? Which one?
3 people and you're still nervous.
3 people in so many hours?
Are you still nervous to present?
I'm still nervous. I think if you go right back to what I just talked about, is partner with great people who are going to tell you and get you prepared before you walk into that meeting of anything that might come and hit you that you might not be prepared for. And a good communication technique also is, if you get asked a question in any circumstance and you don't know the answer, don't make it up. Just say, you know what, it's a great question, I don't know the answer, I will find out and I will get back to you. It's a great media, in media relations, we tell everybody that, because whatever comes out will get printed or on video, and you never want to make something up you're not comfortable with. I would tell you, in the context of that situation, the same thing applies. But also, knowing your audience, what are they going to care about versus what you might be communicating to other people around that, and just being comfortable with what it is you're presenting on and talking about.
Jennifer, you was mentioning about knowing your audience. Most of the time it's lucky that you know who will be the audience, but sometimes you present to people that you have no idea who to expect, and find something that can catch their attention, or something like benefiting them, or something they want to do.
Yeah.
It's just harder to kind of figure that out.
It's a great question. So if you guys didn't hear, the question was, sometimes you're not always able to know your audience and what they would connect with. I think, what you can do always is, it kind of goes back to, it's your responsibility to go up there and be comfortable. Ask questions as much as possible. Don't ever put yourself in a situation where you're speaking that you don't know something about whom you're speaking to, right? So ask, who's in the audience, and what are these people about, and what do they, why are we doing this, and what do they care about this part of this? I mean, ask some of those questions. You can always do that before. You may not always get every answer you want in the detail you may want it in, but at least you'll have some idea of, whether to make it super, something that's very to the point, something that's, a little more elaborative, something that a story that you can pull in. You can try to understand it that way.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
A lot of time that when you were speaking from the audience, you want to rehearse often enough that you feel comfortable when you present, your stuff, and you kind of not nervous by rehearsing it. Some people have a tendency of when they rehearse, it's like whatever way it comes, it's not natural, and they kind of go in there and sometimes make mistakes. What is the best way, like from your experience, to rehearse and how you prepare yourself for the speech?
So she asked, what's the best way to rehearse? I am not an expert on it. I'm not very good at rehearsing. I will be completely honest at all. And when I do, it kind of trips me up. Now, Dave Human would tell me that's you need to rehearse more. Like, and he has told me that. But I will tell you that he recommends getting on a video camera, doing your presentation so that you can see, there's a lot about body language in presentations as much as what's coming out, right? And, like what I've been doing is I've been walking back and forth. And he will tell you that, is you need to be able to, walk back and forth every once in a while. Use your hands where it's appropriate. You don't ever want to stand there like this. You don't ever want to stand there like this. There's all kinds of nervousness kinds of things that we don't know that we do, that you need to be conscious of, because it's just as important, and the video camera will help you think through that and see that. So that would be my recommendation, is video camera practicing. I know, yeah, Jen.
So I have two questions. One is, I'd love a list of books, if you can get that later. She's recommended a lot of books. And two, have you ever caught yourself talking fast?
Oh.
And how do you slow yourself down in the moment?
Yes, I have. I tend to speak quickly, so yes, and I have to remember to calm down. In fact, just yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I was doing a media interview, and Marie, our PR pro, said to me, you gotta be okay with silence, because they need to catch up with what you're saying, because I tend to want to, have so much I want to share, right? I think the same thing goes with presentations, and sometimes it's okay to adjust at any time. If you hear yourself doing it, you just stop, and actually what you can do to give yourself a break, this is a great tip too if you forget what you're going to say, which I've done. You stop and you can kind of look down while you're walking over, and people think you're making this really interesting pause. You can sit there and think, okay, what was I going to say again? Or you can kind of calm yourself down a little bit and then start again. That's a tip. The other thing is have a glass of water or a bottle of water, which is what you can do too. You can walk over, grab your bottle of water, take a drink. Nobody's going to fault you for that. Put it back down, and then you can think what you were going to say. So I've learned that too.
Great. Any other questions? Well, thanks again, Jen.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. I'll let you pick the names. So right now, we're going to get the lucky winners of the book, and the books are written by Dave, is it Yemen?
Dave Newman and Andy Craig.
Just the guy she was talking to that's really good at giving a lot of helpful hints on giving great presentations. So we'll let Jen pick the first one. All right, so here you go. Get your tickets out. Pick Amy's, because she wants the book.
246817.
Who's got 817? All right, there you go. Congratulations. Thank you. And your name is?
Laura.
Laura, nice to meet you. Congratulations. All right, we got one more. We'll let you pick the next lucky winner. You like my cap? I'm into whales.
I love it. Okay. 246-823.
823.
23.
That's it. So close, but yet too far. Oh, you got it.
Okay.
Congratulations. All right. Congratulations. And your name is? Joseph. Congratulations. Thank you. So the next order of business, and I apologize to Karen, she's one of our Toastmasters. I'm going to call her up in a minute to give a little presentation on what she's found the benefits of Toastmasters. But before that, I just wanted to make sure, are the sign-in sheets, did they get to go, did they circle around? Jen's got one. There's 3 of them. So if you haven't signed in, who's got all of the sheets? Just make
It's
sure.
the same one.
I got
It's the same, oh, it's all on the clipboard now? So if you can pass them down and around, that would be great. Make sure you put your name and your contact info. We'll send an email out and give you some of the lists of books that Jen has mentioned today. And again, our meetings are the same time on Thursdays, every Thursday. Typically, we're not dark unless there's another event going on. And we really would love to have you come as a guest. In fact, one of the things that Jennifer was talking about today was about pace, how fast you want to speak in a speech. Sometimes you want to speed up your speaking to keep people's attention. Sometimes you go very slow. You also have another speech that you give about vocal variety. Sometimes you want to talk real softly. And sometimes you really want to accentuate what you're talking about using your body language and your vocal variety. And these speeches are all, these techniques are all wrapped into all the speeches that you get. In the first book, you get a book called The Competent Communicator, and there's 10 speeches. And you get to practice all these different techniques that Jen was talking about, even rehearsing your speech. Guess where you can rehearse your speech? At the Toastmasters meeting. Sometimes if you're giving a half an hour speech, you may only get take 5 or 10 minutes of a speech that you're going to give and practice that at your club meeting. And you get feedback. Remember those evaluations I talked about. You'll get people to give you feedback saying, you know, it kind of dragged a little bit at this point. Or maybe it would be great if you just stopped and paused and let people absorb the joke you're telling or the story that you were telling, the setup of the story. And you get tons of feedback from people, and it really does help, and it gives you a real safe environment to practice your speaking skills. And those table topics she mentioned, table topic is one little part of a Toastmasters meeting where you stand up, somebody is a table topic master, they give you a certain idea for a speech, like, tell me about your best vacation you've ever been on. And you come up, you get to think for a few seconds, take your drink of water or move around a little bit, and then you give 1 minute to 2 minutes. How many people can talk to 1 minute to 2 minutes about anything? Pretty much all of us can, right? So 1 minute to 2 minutes. Hari's like, no, I don't think so. 1 minute to 2 minutes about what your favorite vacation is. And sometimes it is a little surprising how long a minute can be when you're speaking. You're like, isn't it a minute yet? Okay, so with that, I'm going to bring up Karen. Now, one of the things it's really important for you, you've heard a lot about Toastmasters, you've heard about public speaking, and Karen is one of our members, and she gives great speeches, and she makes me laugh, and she moves around, and she uses vocal variety. And we asked her if she would come up and share. She doesn't work for Ingram Micro, she works for Abbott, and I wanted her to share a little bit about her experience in Toastmasters. So Karen, come on up.
Thank you, Lori. You kind of gave it away there.
Oh, I did? The whole thing?
You're sitting there, no, not the whole thing. You're sitting there thinking, who is this woman? And why is she here? Well, my name is Karen Spahn. I'm a payroll associate. I work for Abbott Medical Optics, your next door neighbor. And kind of wondering why. I'm going to tell you why I'm here. Years ago, I was one of those cute little, oh, she's so shy, what a cute little girl you have. It turned into a shy, not confident teenager, which then turned into a non-confident adult. So last year, I wanted to change that. I said, hey, I heard my job has a Toastmasters, I'm going to join. Email after email, couldn't find anybody to tell me about Toastmasters. Then my coworker says our Toastmasters was disbanded. However, Ingram Micro next door has an open club. Why don't we go together? Apprehensively, I went over. Next thing I know, I'm in a group that was so warm and so welcoming. I spoke on my first day. I don't like speaking in public. I joined the next week. Here it is, 1 year later. I've already done 10 speeches. I am the secretary because she skipped over it. You didn't know.
Sorry.
I'm the secretary. And I have enjoyed every moment, every time I'm here. It really bums me out when I can't come to a meeting because, I don't know, they expect me to work over at Abbott Abbott over there. But I implore you, if you're sitting there on the fence right now, you too can be like me. You can be confident. You can have a striped shirt. You can be up here speaking, because I know 1 year ago, I would not be up here talking to this many people at all. I'd be like, back there, hi. So, come and join us. 12 to 1, Thursdays, bring your lunch. You don't have to speak the first time. Watch it in action. You'll see us conduct one meeting in 1 hour. A bunch of professional, but not professional speakers. And you'll enjoy yourself. Come join us.
All right. I guess I left Karen off all around, but I'm glad she had an opportunity to share with you.
Just go next door.
And it's really hard for me to believe that Karen was quiet and shy, because in the meetings she is really just like what you heard. Very open and confident and hilarious. I really look forward to her speeches. And getting your first 10 speeches done in Toastmasters is thumbs up. Amy's got hers done. We've got a few folks here that finally got their 10 speeches done. You earn your Competent Communicator Award, and then you get a certificate. They'll send a certificate to your manager saying you're actually doing something to help your career move forward. Then you're actually able to work on the advanced books. You have Advanced Communicator Bronze, Silver, and Gold, and then there's leadership tracks as well. There's a Competent Leader book. So you get these books. Toastmasters is very organized, and I'm just very impressed. It's a completely volunteer-run organization, except maybe a few people. They moved the office to Rancho Santa Margarita, except for a few people who work there to do the office stuff and the administrative stuff. But the program itself is all run by volunteers, and they tie all the volunteering into your leadership and your speaking. So I welcome anybody have any questions about Toastmasters that they want answered. We can definitely answer that. Yes?
How much does it cost?
$49.95. No, just about that. It's somewhere about $50, $54 to join. If you're an Ingram employee, you'll then be able to get your manager to expense. You can expense that. It'll get plopped back into your paycheck.
54 every 6 months.
Every 6 months, it's $54. But is it 54 every 6?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Because this club charges for the $36 goes to Toastmasters International, and $3 a month for your club dues. And the first 6 months you'll get 2 books, which is the Competent Leader, Competent Communicator. Then once you finish your Competent Communicator, you'll get 2 more books, Advanced Leader books, and there's 20 different ones to pick from. Do you want to learn how to give storytelling? I've just pulled the storytelling book for my next 5 speeches. There's another one on technical presentations or persuasive speaking. There's all these different topics and things you could speak on depending what's important to you or what you want to work on. So it's a pretty good deal, especially when companies are reimbursing you for it, to just come into the meeting, have your lunch, and learn something and have fun and meet some great folks. And I welcome you to learn more. Martha is our VP of Membership. She'll be here. We'll all be here to talk to you about Toastmasters. We've got some information packets back there. And we have a brand new club newsletter that Karen has worked on and has printed copies out there for you to take as well. With that, have a good rest of your day. Thanks for coming. And we hope to see you at the next Toastmasters meeting next Thursday.